Sometimes life can feel really tough. This video shows the top 20 places in the world where life is the most difficult. Seeing how strong people are in these places is very touching. If you think your life is hard, watching this will really make you think and feel grateful. It might make you feel grateful for what you have and see your own problems in a new way.
This video shows the top 20 places in the world where life is the most difficult. Seeing how strong people are in these places is very touching. If you think your life is hard, watching this will really make you think and feel grateful. It might make you feel grateful for what you have and see your own problems in a new way. Could you survive if the air you breathe was poisonous? What if your town was dark for 2 months straight? Or what if your front yard was the most radioactive place on Earth? Most of us worry about our bills or the traffic on the way to work. But for millions of people, just existing is a life or death struggle every single day. We are about to show you 20 places where harsh doesn't even begin to describe it. And some of these places are going to truly shock you. Let's find out. What if the simple act of breathing could kill you? What if your home was so cold that your eyelashes could literally shatter like glass? Or what if your closest neighbor wasn't a person, but a highly radioactive, dead nuclear reactor? It sounds like something from a crazy horror movie, right? But here's the unbelievable part. For millions of people, this is just daily life. Most of us, we worry about paying the bills, or being late for work, or what to make for dinner. But what if your only thought, every single minute, was just surviving? Do you think you could make it? We are about to take you on a journey to 20 places on Earth where the word tough doesn't even begin to cover it. These are places where survival isn't just a goal. It's a full-time job, 24/7. And I'm not just talking about places that are a little uncomfortable or boring. No. We're talking about locations where human life is pushed to its absolute breaking limit. Sometimes it's nature like an impossible cold or blistering heat that feels like you're standing in the Sunday. Sometimes its pollution is so bad, the air itself is poisonous. And sometimes, in the most heartbreaking way, the biggest threat is just other people. We're going to show you what's really going on in these spots. We'll see the coldest town on Earth. A place so hot it looks like another planet, and even a town where everyone has to carry a gas mask just to walk outside. It's wild. So stick with us as we count down the 20 places with the harshest living conditions in the world. I promise you, some of these are going to truly shock you. Let's find out what's out there. All right, let's dive into our list, starting at number 20. How do you even survive in a place where just breathing in can hurt your lungs and your glasses can literally freeze to your face the second you step outside? Well, welcome to Oymyakon, Russia. This is the coldest permanently lived-in place on Earth. We're not talking about a chilly winter day. We're talking about an average temperature of minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. That's negative 50 degrees Celsius. Wow, think about that. Your car battery is basically a frozen block. The ink in your pen is solid. You can't just run to the store, you have to plan every single trip outside like it's a mission, because frostbite can grab you in just minutes. It's just a crazy way to live. But if you think that kind of cold is unbelievable, let's just flip the thermostat all the way to the other extreme. For number 19, we're going to Dalol, Ethiopia. This place looks like it's on another planet. It holds the record for the highest average annual temperature on Earth. It's not just a hot day, it's always like an oven. And it's not a nice, dry heat. The ground is bubbling with toxic yellow sulfur springs and pools of acid. So, it's like living in a giant, steaming, poisonous pot. Sustained human life? Yeah, pretty much impossible. So we've seen the absolute coldest and the absolute hottest. But what if the heat wasn't even your biggest problem? If you think that was bad, our next one at number 18 adds a truly terrible twist. Let's go to Arawane, Mali, a tiny village deep in the middle of the Sahara Desert. Yes, it's scorching hot, but the real enemy here is the wind and the sand. Constant, blinding sandstorms that get into your food, your water, your eyes, just everywhere. And the worst part? Water. There is almost none. Life in this village is a constant, desperate wait for the next water delivery. Can you imagine? Your entire life revolving around just a few drops of water. That's a level of harshness we can barely even picture. Okay, so surviving extreme heat or cold is one thing. But what about surviving extreme loneliness? What if you lived in a place so remote, so completely cut off, that for 9 months of the year, no one can get in and no one can get out? That's what life is like at number 17, Itokorturmit, Greenland. This is one of the most isolated settlements on the entire planet. For most of the year, the sea around it is totally frozen solid. No boats. And for 2 whole months in the winter, the sun just never comes up. It's total, complete darkness, all day, all night. Can you even imagine what that does to your mind? Just the cold, the dark, and the isolation. Wow. It's a kind of harshness that's hard to even think about. If you think being that far away is bad, what about being that high up? For number 16, we're going to La Rinconada, Peru. This is the highest permanent city in the world. It's perched way up in the Andes Mountains at over 16,700 feet. That's more than 5,000 meters. Just being there is dangerous. The air is so thin that your lungs are screaming for oxygen. You'd be gasping for breath just walking down the street. But here's the crazy part. People are actually rushing to get there. Why? Gold. It's a makeshift gold mining town, but it's a total disaster. There is no running water, no sanitation system at all. Garbage is piled up everywhere. And the miners are working in terrible conditions, breathing in poisonous mercury every day. They risk their lives. They live in this frozen, sky-high wasteland, all for the small chance of striking it rich. It's unbelievable what people will endure, isn't it? All right, we've seen how nature can be brutal. But what happens when the danger isn't from the ice or the sun, but from the very air you breathe, poisoned by humans? This next one is truly heartbreaking. At number 15, we have La Oroya, Peru. For 100 years, this was a mining town, home to a huge metal smelter. It brought jobs, but it also brought poison. The factory just pumped tons of lead, arsenic, and sulfur dioxide into the air. It got so bad that almost every single child in the city was found to have dangerous levels of lead in their blood. Can you imagine that? The industry that built your town is also slowly killing your kids. It's a complete nightmare. If you think that's bad, what if the air was so toxic you had to carry a gas mask with you every single day? That's not a movie. That's real life for the people at number 14, Miyakojima, Japan. This is an island with a very active volcano. But it doesn't just erupt with lava, it's always leaking. It constantly breathes out poisonous sulfur dioxide gas. Alarms will just go off across the island, warning everyone that the air is unbreathable. And every single person who lives there, even kids, has to carry a gas mask at all times, just in case they need to put it on to survive. A natural gas leak is terrifying. But our next spot, this is a whole different level of poison. This is a hell that humans made all by themselves. At number 13 is Lake Karachay, Russia. This place. Wow. During the Soviet era, this lake was used as a dumping ground for high-level nuclear waste. It got so bad it was called one of the most radioactive spots on the entire planet. Just think about that. Standing on the shore for just 1 hour could give you a lethal dose of radiation. You'd be dead. They've since covered the whole lake in concrete, trying to seal it in, but it's like a monster buried under a blanket. That's a hidden nuclear disaster. But what about the one we all know? At number 12, we go to the Chernobyl exclusion zone in Ukraine. We all know the name. We know about the 1986 nuclear explosion that poisoned the land for thousands of years. The whole area was evacuated. But here's the truly unbelievable part. Did you know people still live there? A few hundred elderly people, mostly women, just went back. They're called self-settlers. They live illegally inside this highly radioactive zone, growing their own food in the contaminated soil and drinking water from the wells. It's an act of defiance, but wow. The risk they live with every single day is just staggering. Okay, so we've just seen these huge empty poisonous places where people shouldn't live, but do. Now, let's flip that idea completely. What happens when the harshness isn't from emptiness, but from having absolutely no space at all? At number 11, we go to Santa Cruz del Islote, Colombia. This is, get this, the most densely populated island in the world. It's tiny. We're talking about the size of maybe 2 soccer fields. But on this little speck of land, over 500 people are packed in. It's so crowded there's no room for, well, anything. There's no doctor. There's no running water. They have to get it delivered by boat. There's not even room for a cemetery. Can you imagine? Living so on top of each other, you can hear your neighbor breathe. Where do kids even play? It's just wild. But if you think that tiny island sounds crowded, hold on. Our next spot, at number 10, takes this to a whole new level. This place has over 1 million people. This is Dharavi, India. You've probably heard of it. It's one of the largest slums in all of Asia. Over 1 million people are living in an area that's less than 1 square mile. That is a staggering number of people. And with that many people packed so tightly, you get huge problems. We're talking about terrible sanitation, not enough clean water, and awful flooding when the rains come. But here's the thing about Dharavi. It's not just a place of hardship. It's also a place of incredible energy. It's a city within a city, with thousands of small businesses and a real powerful sense of community. So, while the living conditions are unbelievably tough, the spirit of the people, that's a whole nother story. It's this really complex, intense place. So, we've seen the struggle of having no space at all, packed in like sardines. But what if the danger isn't from having too many people, but from the earth itself trying to get rid of you? At number 9, we land in Vanuatu, an island nation in the South Pacific. Now, this place, it looks like a postcard, just pure paradise. But here's the terrifying part. It's ranked as the single most at-risk country in the world for natural disasters. Why? Because it's basically in the crosshairs of everything. It sits right on the ring of fire, so it gets hammered by massive earthquakes, which can trigger devastating tsunamis. It also gets hit by some of the most powerful cyclones on the planet. And, as if that's not enough, it's also home to several very active volcanoes. Can you imagine? You're not just worried about one thing, you're worried about the land, the sea, and the air all turning against you at any moment. That's a place where nature is lawless. But our next spot, at number 8, this is a place where humans are lawless. And it's one of the most frightening places on Earth. This isn't a city or a country. This is the Darien Gap, a 66-mile stretch of dense, roadless jungle that separates Panama and Colombia. This jungle is so dangerous, so impassable, that it's the only break in the entire Pan American Highway, which runs from Alaska all the way to Argentina. The road just stops. And for good reason. This jungle is a nightmare. It's a notoriously dangerous route for migrants trying to head north. But the dangers aren't just the deadly snakes, the flash floods, or the disease-carrying insects. The real threat is from people. The gap is controlled by drug traffickers and violent armed groups who rob, kidnap, and kill. It's a place with no laws, no police, no help. Just pure dangerous wilderness. A place where many people go in, and not everyone comes out. Okay, we've just walked through a jungle with no laws. But what happens when that lawlessness, that chaos, takes over an entire city? Or even an entire country? As we get into our top 7, we're moving into places where the single biggest threat isn't the weather or the air. It's other people. At number 7, we go to Mogadishu, Somalia. For decades, this city was just a symbol of war. After years and years of civil war, even though some parts are trying to rebuild, the fear is constant. The threat of the terrorist group Al-Shabaab hangs over everyone. Bombings, kidnappings, sudden attacks. It's a part of life. Can you imagine trying to go to school or to the market, knowing that at any second, your whole world could just explode? That's a kind of stress that's just heartbreaking. From one city in chaos, we go to a whole country that has barely known peace for generations. Number 6 is Afghanistan. After decades of war and invasion, the country is facing a terrible humanitarian crisis. The economy has just collapsed. There's ongoing instability, and the threat of terrorism is still very real. But for millions of people, the daily battle isn't just about safety, it's about food. It's a daily, exhausting struggle just to find enough to eat in a nation scarred by war. It's just tragic, and that tragedy continues at number 5, Syria. What is even left after more than a decade of brutal, devastating civil war? Entire cities, ancient and beautiful, have just been turned to rubble. The economy is shattered. Millions and millions of people have been forced to flee their homes, and those who are left are caught in the middle. They face violence, poverty, and a future that just looks empty. It's almost impossible to imagine. What about a place that was supposed to be a new beginning? At number 4, we have South Sudan. This is the world's newest country. It was born with so much hope, but it's been one of the most tragic stories. Since it became independent, it's just been torn apart by a brutal civil war and horrible ethnic violence. This has led to extreme, crushing poverty and a catastrophic famine. It's a nation of people starving, where the promise of a new future just died. This is so heavy, and it doesn't get easier. At number 3 is Yemen. You've probably heard this, but it's what the United Nations has called the world's worst humanitarian crisis. A long, terrible civil war has completely destroyed the country. The healthcare system, gone. This has led to one of the worst outbreaks of cholera, a disease that shouldn't even be a threat anymore. Millions of people, especially children, are facing severe starvation. They're not just hungry, they are starving to death. It's a massive-scale human tragedy. Now, for number 2. This one is a truly bitter irony. We're going to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This country, it should be one of the richest on the entire planet. It has mountains of valuable minerals, the stuff that powers our smartphones and our laptops. So why are its people among the poorest and most desperate in the world? Because, especially in the eastern part of the country, violent armed groups are in a constant war to control those resources. People are living in what officials have called hellish conditions. They are subjected to unbelievable violence. Also, those groups can profit. The wealth that's right under their feet. It's not a blessing, it's a curse. And that brings us to number 1. The place that, according to so many reports, has the lowest standard of living on Earth. The single hardest country to just be alive in. This is the Central African Republic. Decades of violence, coups, and instability have just shattered the nation. It has the lowest scores on everything. We're talking about clean water, food, nutrition, safety, and personal rights. It's at the very bottom. The government has no real control. The vast majority of the people, they can't survive on their own. They depend completely on humanitarian aid just to make it to the next day. It is a state of constant, desperate, forgotten crisis. Wow, what a journey. We've gone from the impossible, shattering cold of Oymyakon to the toxic, poisoned air of La Oroya. We saw the crushing density of Dharavi, with 1 million people packed into one small spot. And then we saw the heartbreaking, violent emptiness of the Central African Republic. It's a lot. When you see all these places, these 20 spots, it just shows you the unbelievable and sometimes just plain crazy resilience of people. How do they do it? How do you wake up every day in a place that's trying to freeze you or poison you or where there's just no safety at all? It's really, truly staggering. It makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you look around at your own life. Things we just take for granted, like turning on the tap and having clean water come out, or breathing the air without thinking twice, or just feeling safe in your own home. After seeing this, those simple things, they feel like an absolute luxury. So, I have to ask you, which of these 20 places shocked you the most? Was there one that just stuck with you? And did we miss any? Are there other places out there that you think are even harsher? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments. We really want to hear what you think. And hey, if you learned something new and want to keep exploring the most incredible and intense parts of our world, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Stay curious and stay safe out there.